up, everybody? This is Brian Boyle from Brian Boyle Music and the Producers Forum, back again with yet another Pro Tools 8 tutorial. In the last two videos, we went over everything from starting a new session to burning it onto a CD, but now we'll be getting into more of the specifics of Pro Tools and focusing on the edit window. More specifically, we'll be going over how to use slip, shuffle, spot, and grid mode. So, enough talk, let's get started. Alright, so I've got Pro Tools open here and I've got a track in here and a master fader. But if you look at the top left of your screen, where I'm pointing the mouse, you'll see you've got four different things here. You've got slip, shuffle, spot, and grid. Now you can go up here and you can click on these and you can select the different modes, or you can use keyboard shortcuts. F1 for shuffle, F2 for slip, F3 for spot, and F4 for grid. Now I'm on a laptop, so my shortcuts don't do the same thing. I think my F1 and 2 are like the brightness for my screen. But if you've got a full keyboard, those shortcuts should work just fine for you, and select those modes when you press F1 through F4. So the first place we're going to start is slip mode. I'm going to go up here and select slip. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. And what slip mode does, I'm going to select the grabber tool here, is it allows you to drag the audio anywhere without any constraints. Normally in grid mode, when you select the audio and drag it out, it'll bump it to the next 16th note, but in slip mode you can put it right between, you can put it anywhere you want. So that's what slip mode does, is you can put the audio anywhere you want, you can slide it anywhere, and that's what we use slip for. Alright, so moving on to shuffle mode. I'm going to come up here and select shuffle, or you can hit F1 for your keyboard shortcut. So what shuffle mode does is it bumps any audio to the left. What that means is if I select the cropper tool up here, I'm going to zoom out, and I'm just going to crop off this silence in the beginning. We got two full bars of silence here, so I'm going to crop this out. And you'll see, instead of just leaving the audio where it is, it's going to bump it all the way to the left. There you go. So it took the beginning of that track, cut out the silence, and bumped it all the way back to the very beginning of the first bar. So I'm just going to do a quick undo, which is Command Z or Control Z if you're in Windows. Gets that audio right back. And we'll move on to spot mode. So go ahead and hit F3 to switch to spot mode, or if you're like me and you're working on a laptop, you can come up here and just click on spot, select your grabber tool, and when you go to select the audio and drag it to move it, a dialog box will pop up. Now this asks you where you want to put that waveform. Spot mode is really very useful for things like video editing. Say for example you've got like a ton of sound effects and you're instructed to put an explosion sound 10 minutes and 40 seconds and 8 frames into the video. This is where you'd use the spot tool. You can just select where you want it to start, and things like that. So we're in bars and beats. I'm just going to say let's have this audio begin at the beginning of the third bar. So I'm going to hit 3, hit OK, and you'll see it bumped the beginning of my waveform to the start of the third bar. So that's what we use spot mode for. So I'm just going to do a quick undo. Okay, so the next mode we got is grid mode, and I think this is by far the most useful mode. And what this does is it allows you to snap to a musically interesting interval. And what I mean by that is an interval as in, a bar, a half note, a quarter note. I have 16th note selected here, so that is the musically interesting interval that I've chosen as 16th note. So if I zoom in a little bit here, and I get my cursor, you'll see when I highlight, it jumps from one interval to the next. Whereas in slip mode, I can highlight in between intervals. This is the difference between slip and grid. Now, if you don't like 16th note, like I showed you up here, you can change it to really anything you want. You can do entire bars. See what whole bars look like. There you go. It'll highlight entire bars if that's what you select. And you don't necessarily even have to do bars and beats. You can go up and change this here to minutes and seconds. I can select half a second, and my intervals can be half a second. But for now, let's just keep it on bars and beats. Keeps things simple because we're working with a click track, and I have it set, so it makes everything a little bit easier. Alright, so let's zoom out a little bit here. So now that we know what each mode does, why don't we use grid and shuffle together to shorten our intro here. So I've got full bars selected in grid. I'm going to go up here. I'm going to select these first 2 bars. Zoom in. You see this is all just silence here. So I'm going to select it with grid mode, and then I'm going to go up to shuffle and hit the delete key. And that's going to bump my entire song right to the beginning of the first bar so that there's no silence in the beginning. Now let's take a listen. Alright, so that's the beginning of our song. You can hear the intro is pretty interesting, but maybe a little bit long. So why don't we do the exact same thing that we just did. We'll come up here. We can see this is where the drums stop, and this is where the verse begins. So I'm going to come in here and just highlight these 4 bars, select shuffle mode, hit delete one more time, and that will have shortened our intro down from about 25 seconds to about 10. So why don't we go ahead and take a listen. The edit is a little choppy, but you get the idea. So that's how you use all the different modes to edit, slip, use the grid to move things around in musically interesting intervals. So I highly suggest staying on the grid if you're new to Pro Tools. This way, if you have to move a verse or a riff 4 bars to the left or right, it eliminates the guesswork if you're using slip mode. So that's it for this video on slip, shuffle, spot, and grid mode. If you found this tutorial helpful, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Boyle Music 88. Follow me on Twitter at Brian Boyle Music, and check out my website, brianboylemusic.wordpress.com, for more production techniques, tips, and tricks. Alright guys, see you later.